The Sisters, Brothers and Cold Moon. That's coming up next on the blog rundown. And the first movie review came in from Justin Aylward, John. It's The Sisters, Brothers from last year. This movie starring the likes of John C. Reilly, Joaquin Phoenix, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yes, the list goes on, doesn't it?
It does.
Some cast.
Yeah, Stephen, I've been and seen this film. I think I'm perhaps one of the very limited few who have actually went out and watched it.
Yeah.
By all accounts, it's a box office bomb. But I'll get into that later.
Yeah.
We're here to speak about the review, but I'll get into the box
John,
office
I do seem to recall this took a long time to hit our screens over here.
It was out in the United States late last year. It didn't come out over here until, last month, funny enough. So it was a massive gap.
Yeah.
And I think it's down to the production company. I can't recall who they are. They were involved with that Vice, the Christian Bale film.
Yeah.
I can't recall who the production company are. I'll try and find it later on.
Yeah.
But they're useless, essentially. But look, I digress. I went to see the film. I share many of Justin Aylward's, also the guy who wrote it, Stephen. I don't know if he says that. But I share many of Justin's opinions on this film, his positives. I don't think there is any negatives in there in this review, and I couldn't find any negatives as well. I'm a big Western fan though. Admittedly, if you go into my little profile on the website, one of my favourite genres says Westerns.
That's right, yeah.
A big Clint Eastwood fan. Big fan of the spaghetti Westerns. And he actually says that, Stephen, that it does call back to a bygone era of Western films, the likes of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. I think he says Unforgiven and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These classic sort of I don't want to say classic for perhaps. No, Unforgiven's a classic.
Well,
that's an absolute
John,
classic.
I was going to intervene,
but it's a modern classic.
It doesn't feel that old, but I think it's probably about 27 years old now.
Yeah, 95, I think.
I think it was 92 it came
92.
out.
Oh, there you go.
About that time. I remember when it came out. My dad, he's a big Western fan like yourself. Not so much myself. Depends how it's done. It really depends how it's done. You know, the ones that Justin mentions at the very beginning of his
the modern ones.
Review, I thoroughly enjoyed Bone Tomahawk, Hell and High Water, The Assassination of Jesse James. Great
examples
films.
of very well done modern westerns that have not fell into the classic pitfalls of cliches and stuff like that. Going back to the spaghetti western days, where I think a period after that, a lot of studios and films are trying to really mimic that style, and they didn't really have their own unique ideas going forward for stories of ponchos and stuff like that, and just that look. Whereas those films have done their own stories, their own settings, they've done unique things with the genre, and it's the same here with The Sisters, Brothers. It's a very unique story, a very eccentric, different story. It's following four distinctive people. You've got Charlie and Eli, the two brothers. I believe Charlie is John C. Reilly, Eli is Joaquin Phoenix, and then you have got, I think it's John something, I can't recall who Jake Gyllenhaal's character is, what he's called.
John Morris,
John Morris, and then Riz Ahmed. He is essentially this gold proprietor, I think you would call it, a prospector, not proprietor. And he's going out and he's utilising this substance which highlights gold in the water.
Right.
So he's away trying to do that. I think he stole off of the Commodore, who's played by Rutger Hauer. So he sends out these, obviously, two brothers to go and deal with it, find them, hunt them down, kill them or bring them back. But Jake Gyllenhaal's character is a separate individual, sort of a outlaw hitman sort of a figure. He rushes off and tries to find them first, eventually catches up with Riz Ahmed's character, finds that he's got a lot in common with him. He's not the guy that he had been led into believing he was. They end up teaming up, and then the brothers go off on this wild journey, kind of across the Midwest, heading out for San Francisco. These two very different guys. Justin's absolutely right. He says it's not only chalk and cheese, the drunk and the sober guy, but it's just a great story of these two very distinct characters. Four very distinct characters in actual fact, but the two brothers in particular are very, very different. One's sort of a straight-laced, wants to go off back to his mother and live happily, sort of a quiet life, find a wife and settle down. Eli, on the other hand, played by, as I did say, Joaquin Phoenix, loves this life, loves the violence, getting out and gets a thrill out of obviously doing these jobs and whatnot, has visions of maybe replacing the Commodore at some point.
Yeah.
So it's a great story focusing on the relationship of these two brothers and how they almost develop and change into different figures as the story moves on. He doesn't touch upon the final act, so I'll not touch upon the final act,
Fair
Justin.
enough.
But as I did say, it does something different in the final act. It wasn't what I was anticipating, I have to say, but I really liked it. I thought it was a fitting conclusion to the two brothers, at least. Quite disappointed with the way that the two other guys, perhaps their arc was concluded, but you can't get everything. I really enjoyed it, Stephen. It's sweeping vistas, beautifully shot, great little score, and an interesting story.
I can't really comment, John, because I've not seen the film yet. But I was, after you told me, when you came back from the theatre and told me all about it, I really did want to go and see it.
Yeah.
Even more so now that I've read Justin's review. Jacques Audiard, the director, he also wrote the screenplay. It's interesting to see. I think he's from France, John. It's interesting to see the original title of this movie was called Les Frères Sisters. Which indicates to me that this film was
designed for a foreign market.
For a foreign market. Checking his CV out as well. He's mostly a writer. I think he's maybe done about 10, 12 films, but they're all French films as well. So I can't really say too much on that part either in regards to the director and the writer. Cinematography, John. Westerns, I was going to say, they're always get these big landscapes, always lovely to look at.
There's some stunning vistas in this.
Yeah, I can imagine so,
looking out into the distance. Shots of gold miners prospecting for gold, and they're standing on a cliff looking down. Beautiful. Really utilises the landscapes this world is set in, obviously the Midwest. I don't know if it's actually been filmed in the United States, but certainly utilises it beautifully. Really makes that and weaves that into the story. But what I really enjoyed the most, Stephen, was just the characters. They felt lived in, real human figures, 3D characters. They weren't 2D. As you did say, I forget what the director's name is, Audiard.
Yeah.
He done a great job. If he wrote it, Stephen, and by all accounts I think he did.
He did.
The screenplay was the big strength for me. Just this story, as I did say, of these two very different brothers, and just the quieter moments as well with Charlie. There's a moment where he loses his horse, his faithful horse, and he says he wasn't a special horse or something. I'm paraphrasing, but he wasn't a special horse or something like that. But it really hit me more than I thought it would. And just the shot of the horse lying, and then the impact, he opens his heart up to the Riz Ahmed character, and it's just, that's a brief little insight into this guy's character again. It opens up what he's all about inside. He's not like his brother, he's more straight-laced, he's more humanised. His brother's just a drunk. But even then, Stephen, even though they're very different, you see the closeness. They'll argue, they'll slap each other at different parts in this film, they will fight, but then there's quiet moments between the two where you can see they genuinely love each other, and they'll do anything to help each other out, save their lives at certain points in the film. There's a horrendous moment with Eli after he has a little brush with this chemical substance that Riz Ahmed's character has created, and
John,
it burns you all his hand. And
that's all down to good acting.
There's not a good, and you say good acting, Stephen. I was going to go into that. Joaquin Phoenix. Justin says once again that this proves that he is without a shadow of a doubt one of the best actors of his generation, and I agree. He is fantastic in this film as the troubled guy. He killed his father. Obviously, he must have been abusive, his father. He killed him. He was this drunk, trying to perhaps hide his emotions, put them down by obviously consuming drink and stuff like that, and just running away from the troubles of his past. He was a very, as I did say, Stephen, they were very complicated characters that were realised beautifully thanks to the screenplay, and also thanks to the incredible performances. And you can't get a better quartet than Jake Gyllenhaal, Riz Ahmed, John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix. I really enjoyed it, Stephen. It's an absolute travesty that it's bombed and not more people have got to see this. We discussed it before we came on. We don't know what is going on with the Western genre. There's not enough Western films.
I was just going to mention that, John, because I remember watching, I think it might have been, there's Robert Zemeckis or someone like that was a director anyway. I think it was actually, because I remember where it was from now. He loved the John Ford films. He said they understood why directors like John Ford did westerns, because it didn't feel like they were working. They were out in the grey outdoors, you know, filming these beautiful scenic environments. It's a question why isn't there any more of these, you know? And I don't think it's been done to death, because I don't think it's been done to death any more than the likes of horror genre.
Well, Stephen, as you did mention earlier, Hell or High Water, Just these great stories, these modern retellings, neo-westerns. There's always the opportunity to realise and weave in different ideas and obviously satire of modern times into a western story and have it work, do something different, which is what they do here. A lot of western films in the past have just been bogged down by trying to replicate the Man with No Name, Clint Eastwood films, instead of doing their own distinct thing, their own distinct visuals. And I think that's just an issue in general with Hollywood. If they see that something works, a formula works, they'll go and mine it to the death, instead of having this new sort of ingenious concepts and stuff like that, getting the right screenplays in, getting the right writers in, getting the right directors in with their own imaginative ideas.
Incidentally, John, their film locations were Romania, Spain and France. So
America.
So they weren't in America at all. So you can see where the director's coming from this. So it's obviously primarily going to be for a foreign market. I think that's why it's probably suffered.
Only grossed $3.1 million worldwide total.
That's absolutely crazy.
It's crazy, Stephen. And it is the production company, I will try and find it before we move on, Stephen. The production company are called, can't find them, Anna Purna Pictures. Now this film performed beautifully at a big festival. I can't recall which one it was, Stephen. It won the silver sort of a ribbon or award. So it was a very good film that had been received well by critics. But this company has absolutely dropped the ball in expanding this out into a wide release. As you did say, this film came out months upon months after its United States release. And that is a mistake. You have to get films like this out, try and get good word of mouth and let it build up to perhaps a crescendo, but it wasn't to be. No. I've seen it. I'm happy. I missed the likes of the Tombstone and stuff like that. So there's still great westerns out there that I've perhaps not unearthed, and I'm glad to see that I got the chance to witness this one. And it's not another Tombstone. It's buried for 20 years before I get to experience it.
Talking about burying films for 20 years, I'm pretty sure Stephen Wilkins, for our next review, hopes this film is buried for longer than that, John. This is a film called Coal Moon. Stephen doesn't pull any punches here. This is from the writers of Beetlejuice. Stars the likes of Josh Stewart, Candy Clark, Frank Whaley, Robbie A.K. and
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. And it's directed by Griff First. Now, Stephen's review is very straight to the point here in regards to his experience of the film being not very memorable. He's actually said something in here in one of the paragraphs, which I kind of do with Netflix films when I'm not feeling the vibes of them. Stephen says he found himself leaving the room for brief periods to return and really not having missed much of anything at all. I've did that myself.
I've seen you doing that with many a thing, Stephen.
It's, well, not in theatres, I don't do it, but certainly when I'm watching films.
Well, you can, but you wouldn't.
No,
you've paid for it.
Yeah, well, with your pass, you can wander into another screen, but I don't really do it at theatres. But at home, if I'm not feeling a film, I do it myself. Exactly. And you can come back and you go, doesn't look like I've missed much, I'm picking up the story. But he says the visuals are acceptable, the ghosts have some believability to them, the acting at times is blah, and doesn't seem to want to push the story along. Sadly, because the synopsis of this film is a young woman is murdered, and her family sets out to bring the criminal to justice. So it's obviously a supernatural horror with a bit of a thriller.
A bit of What Lies Beneath.
Yeah. A bit of
not What Lies Beneath. The other one. Stir of Echoes.
Well, I would say
What Lies Beneath as well.
Same kind of vibe to it, but
similar vibe to those two films.
He gives it a C+, which I thought was very generous considering the review. But horses for courses, John.
I've seen a part of it.
Yeah.
I walked away and I never put it back on.
Yeah.
I watched 29 minutes and I think about 20 seconds to be precise of this film, Stephen.
Oh dear.
Where do I begin?
Where'd you get that half hour back in your life?
Yeah, well, it wasn't that bad. I've seen worse films, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I sat through Phoenix Forgotten, or Arizona, whatever the hell it was called. Phoenix Forgotten, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which is, without a shadow of a doubt, Stephen, the worst movie I have ever seen in my entire existence on this earth. This wasn't anywhere near as bad as that. We get to see Christopher Lloyd very briefly. I don't know if he comes back in at the end, but he's on a wheelchair and he's playing a slightly eccentric, befuddled granddad figure, I think, and then he just disappears. But it's about this young girl who's away. I think she's helping her teacher out at school, and then she's making her way back home, and I think it's set in rural Texas, so it's kind of a big open expanse she's having to really cycle through to get back to her house. And then she meets this mysterious figure in a car. He has a bit of a tussle with her on this bridge, rickety bridge, flings her over the bridge and kills her, then leaves her body weighted down with her bike under the water, and then obviously on falls from there, unleashes from there. The mother, I want to say, perhaps grandmother, she's a little bit old to be a mother, is frantic. She's trying to find her, her brother's trying to find her, the police are involved. They finally find the body, and then all this paranormal stuff starts awakening. This young girl, who I don't know what her connection was to the story, but she was visiting the lady's house, drove over the bridge just as she was fighting under the water, didn't see her. She becomes implicated. This guy who's trying to foreclose the grandmother's house, I think, this antagonistic figure, he's involved, and he starts seeing ghosts. That's about how far I got in, Stephen, before I bailed. But look, some of the effects were quite cool. This snake seems to play a part in the proceedings. It goes down into the water and perhaps interacts with the corpse, and then the ghost utilises this snake in these visions, these paranormal visions that she's projecting onto the people she's wanting to project onto. Sounds terrible, and to be honest with you, it is terrible. But some of the visuals are okay. There's some cool little techniques with the ghosts sort of popping up and then splashing down, little water effect into the ground.
Right, yeah.
And you're getting drops of water and stuff like that. It's quite creepy. It's quite creepy. I wasn't scared because I don't scare easy, but it was uncertain at parts. It was very, as I did say, what lies beneath.
Yeah.
Just that talk to me, the girl walking about, and just the clothes, because she's in the water.
Echoes, John.
Stir of echoes. Yeah. There you go.
Listen, the cast as well, John.
Similar vibe.
It's actually a not bad cast. That
I recognise the sheriff.
Well, Josh Stewart, I know his face from a few films. I think he might have been in Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises. I know the face. Candy Clark, I know from American Graffiti. She was also in Zodiac, I'm sure. Frank Whaley, that's your fella from Pulp Fiction. Has the big Kahuna burger. That's him. You know, he's obviously. You probably recognised his face. That's him. The
Sheriff Tedhill, that's the sheriff.
Yeah, that's
I knew it. I recognised him.
Yeah, from Pulp Fiction. So, and obviously Christopher Lloyd as well. I don't know if he was just phoning this performance in, John. I don't know.
No, listen. It's probably the most memorable part of the whole movie, Stephen. That I've seen. He popped up. I wasn't expecting it, and he took control and really dominated. His presence was really dominating on the screen. But that's because he's working beside lesser acting figures. And the likes of, I think, Candy Clark. I don't know. I can't recall who it was, Stephen. There's a few names in there I don't know. But look, it did have that mixture of sort of a fresh faces and veteran actors. And I suppose if I go back and give it a chance and watch the rest of it, it may redeem itself, because some of the people on Rotten Tomatoes, perhaps echoing Steve's sentiments, they're saying that, look, there's an eccentric mix of veteran actors, as I did say, Southern Gothicism and neo-noir lens. Cold Moon a certain charm as a ghostly revenge thriller. So they're saying there's perhaps, I mean, that's not that particular review, that's quite glowing from Variety.
Yeah.
But some of them are saying it has got issues. It's not the greatest film in the world. It's a sort of a classic B sort of a film, and I get that vibe when I watch it, because the score, it's like that synth heavy score, and you just know right away this is a B movie. But it's mixing that with some perhaps decent little things. It's flinging some decent little things into the mix to maybe prepare it up to a semi-watchable standard. I say semi, but look, I've seen a half an hour of it. I don't know if I can.
I'll not be touching this with a barge pole, John. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
After your experience in Steve's
Starburst,
review, I
John
don't
Townsend.
think I'm going to really get out my road to see this movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah, frustrations aside, Cold Moon is worth watching. Starburst, John Townsend. I don't know who that is. He's recommending it, but look, if you're watching this and you're perhaps thinking about going and watching Cold Moon, if that thumbnail's maybe drawing you in, then
thumbnail's decent. The poster's decent.
If you fancy it, I'm not going to say no. It may be your thing. All art is subjective at the end of the day, but not really for me.
No. Listen,
very Law and Hardy animation.
That'll just wrap up this week's show. We'd just like to thank you for watching, and we will be back again tomorrow with the Force Friday show.